of the street. Black Lightning's back.
Ladies and gentlemen, Black Lightning is back with its premiere of Season 4, which unfortunately is the final season of the series, but I think this was a great start to the final season. You know, it was a good episode. There were a couple parts that were a little slow, but overall, I really liked this episode. And honestly, like, the acting in this episode, just the acting was really, really well. I just really noticed that. Like, there was some really good acting in this episode. So this episode is called The Book of Reconstruction, Chapter 1, Collateral Damage. And of course, we are going to be breaking this down in depth, full spoilers and everything. So now that you've been warned, let's go ahead and jump into this breakdown. So we start off the episode seeing Jefferson. He is visiting Officer Henderson's grave, as we saw at the end of last season. Officer Henderson kind of sacrificed himself and he died. So his death actually plays a bigger role in this episode than I thought it would. So that's actually cool to be seen here, because he was a fairly big character on the show before he died. And this is where we find out that it's actually been 1 whole year since the defeat of the Markovians, which was the season 3 finale. So you get a whole year time jump here, which is really interesting, just with the timeline of the Arrowverse, because then you have shows like The Flash where it's picking up days after the last season took place. So that's interesting to see there. And with this 1 year anniversary of the Markovian defeat, not much has changed. Like, Grace is still in a coma. So Anissa's not doing well. Jefferson, on his way home from visiting Chief Henderson's grave, he sees some white cops taking down a black kid for literally no reason. Like, I think he was holding like a skateboard or something. Like, there's literally no reason for it. So Jefferson gets mad about it, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go full Black Lightning here. And then he knocks him out. He knocks out the cops. And then, unfortunately, that comes back to bite him in the butt later in the episode, as we'll talk about later. But, as I said before, it's been a whole year since Season 3, and not much has changed. You know, Jefferson and Lynn, they're now in couples therapy, so I guess that's good. But clearly from the session, their relationship is not going well. Their relationship, there's no trust, there's no support, and not even any sex. So that's definitely not good. So hopefully and most likely by the end of the season they will be a happy family together, but I am interested to see that journey there with them. Then we get reintroduced to Gambi again. I love this character. And in the beginning of this episode, he is having a meetup with this character named Lauren. And she is basically trying to get him back into his super spy assassin career. And he just straight up rejects her. He's like, no. And then she kisses him. And it's like, ooh la la, bro. You getting the ladies. Even though he's up there in age. He's a fox. Oh, yeah. But then we see Gambi, he looks up at the TV screen. I think he's in a restaurant or a cafe or something. And then this is where we see good old Mayor Billy Black with his funky looking haircut. Like, seriously, that is a weird looking haircut, not gonna lie. Like, why would you want your hair to look like that? But he introduces Jefferson to talk about Chief Henderson on the news. So we get a few nice emotional words there from Jefferson about his good friend. And then he introduces the new chief of police, which is going to be Ana Lopez. So she is now in charge. And then it switches over to another part of the news session here, where we see that Tobias Whale is back. And he's back in Freeland, he's back in the public eye, and basically he's making himself look good. Like, all of his money was able to hide away all of his dirt and everything, so everybody thinks he's the hero, like, oh, he's a philanthropist, he's donating to all these charities and stuff, but really deep down, he is still the big bad villain of this series, which I'm excited to see those layers of this character here, like, the difference between, you know, being around people and being like, oh, I'm the hero and everything, and then in the shadows when he's full on villain mode. So I'm really excited to be seeing that. But clearly the Pierce family is not happy to see that he is back, because he knows that they are Black Lightning, and thunder and lightning and all that stuff. So it's definitely not a good thing that he knows that he is back. They thought he was dead, but nope, he is not dead. He is back and better than ever. And both Anissa and Lynn actually want to kill Tobias to protect the family, and Jefferson is completely against it. But it makes sense, and they do have a reason for wanting to kill him, but at the same time, like, that's like superhero rule number one. You can't kill the villain. You gotta just toss him in jail. But then again, he does know their secret identities, so I'll be interested to see if they actually do end up killing him by the end of the season, or I guess by the end of the series, which is crazy to think about. But then Gambi has another meetup. This time it's actually with Jefferson, and basically through this whole conversation, he's trying to pick up Jefferson. Jefferson is just there. He's drinking, trying to drown his sorrows and everything, but Gambi keeps telling him that Freeland needs Black Lightning. Like, sure, Jefferson Pierce is a great guy and everything, and he can do a lot to help out, but they need Black Lightning to stop the gang wars and get rid of the drugs and everything. So it didn't really seem to affect Jefferson too much in this scene, but hopefully and most likely he will come to his senses and become Black Lightning again later in this season. But then we see Jennifer, and she is just out flying, having a good time. She's just vibing with her powers up in the sky, and she got a full-on light show going on there. Like, she looked like she was going supernova mode. It was really cool. I love the visual effects there. And then we see actually that both Thunder and Lightning are still fighting crime, whereas Black Lightning is supposedly dead and Jefferson is done with being a superhero. So those two are still out fighting crime. And I do like the new effects for Thunder, how it's like a purple wave of energy, because before it was like when she went to use her powers, she'd just go, and then she'd do it. But now I don't think I noticed that sound here in this episode, but it just looks way cooler to have her have like that purple wave of energy. That looks really cool, especially when you saw Jennifer's lightning colors, the like yellowish orange in the background as well. That was a really nice balance and contrast there to see. But just like how Thunder and Lightning are still fighting crime, Lynn is also actually fighting crime as well, because as we saw in last season with Gravedigger, his powers are able to control people, and it was basically a drug that was getting injected into him that gave him these powers, and Lynn got those powers for a short brief moment in last season, but now we find out that she's been injecting herself with those again to get these powers, and then she goes out wearing a mask, and it's not like a full-on superhero mask, it's literally a COVID-19 coronavirus mask, which, I mean, I guess is kind of meta, and it like glows in the dark, so that was honestly pretty cool. And then she goes out there basically like mind controlling people and fighting crime, which is really cool to see. And it's kind of strange that, Jefferson Black Lightning, the title character, is the one person not out there actually doing anything, which is really interesting. But obviously he is going to come around, and he is going to be Black Lightning once again by the end of this series, which I'm really excited for. But then we see again Lala, aka the Tattoo Man, which I completely forgot this character even existed, but he is back, and he's going to be playing a big role in this season as well, and he is basically trying to plan a counterattack against Tobias while also trying to take down Thunder and Lightning, and then we see that come back into play at the end of the episode, which again I'll talk about in a little bit here. But then this is where things get interesting, because Jefferson, he looks at his phone and he gets a call from Henderson, and that's what the name says and everything, but obviously Henderson is dead, so he answers it, and it's somebody on the phone that says, like, come to the docks, there's an envelope here and everything, and I gotta talk to you. So then he goes there, and then this is where he finds this officer that was Henderson was his mentor, so he was kind of like a student of Henderson, a very trusted student of Henderson, and basically he lets Black Lightning know that he wants to honor Henderson's request and save Freeland and everything. But then we see when Jefferson actually opens up the letter from Henderson, he says that he can trust this detective guy, and then together they can save Freeland. And this detective guy, his name is Detective Honchikar. And then we see when Jefferson is at school, because of course he's the principal of Freeland High, and the cops show up, and Detective, what's his name here? Detective Honshikar, he shows up alongside the chief of police, Ana Lopez, and they automatically start interrogating Jefferson, because of course at the beginning of the episode he took out those cops and he thought that he wiped all the cameras and everything, and Gambi did a little bit to help out with that and everything too, but somehow they got a hold of like a partial plate number from the cop beat down there. So, like I said, they interrogate Jefferson, and obviously he has to make up some excuses and stuff, and then they leave and everything, but they know that he is lying, and they know that he is Black Lightning. So, it's going to be interesting to see if this detective guy actually does end up working with Black Lightning, and then if it ends up being like a double cross thing, like I don't like vigilantes. Like clearly he doesn't like Black Lightning, but he was just doing it because he wanted to honor Henderson's requests. But I'm interested to see where that goes from here. Then one of our cliffhanger endings for this episode was Tobias Whale has actually joined the board of directors where Lynn works, which is really interesting. And they acted like they were meeting each other for the first time, which was really funny because clearly it was not. They had some big interactions in last season, so I'm excited to see where their story goes in this season as well. But then the big thing is that during one of her battles, Jennifer gets shot during this fight, and then they're able to identify the shooter and everything. So Jefferson literally goes to this guy's apartment, beats the stuff out of him, and even like lightning laser visions in his eyes, which I don't know if like does that do like permanent damage? Like, did Jefferson literally make that guy go blind? Because I mean, lightning in your eyes definitely would not feel very nice, and you'd think it would cause permanent damage. So that's brutal right there. But then everybody's okay. They said that Jennifer is like self-healing and everything. But then the last scene of the episode is she is going back, she up in the sky, she is flying around, playing with her powers and stuff again, just vibing, having a good time. But then all of a sudden her power shut off and she like passes out and she just starts falling to the ground out of the sky, and that is where the episode ends. And obviously she's going to get saved. There's no way she's going to die or anything, but clearly something is up with her powers, and I'm interested to find out what that is. But guys, that is the end of the season 4 premiere of Black Lightning. Again, this was a great episode, a great start to the final season of Black Lightning. I'm really excited to see where this show goes, how they end off all the stories, and just to see all these characters back in action one more time. There were some interesting reveals in this episode, like Lynn fighting crime, like Tobias being like a hero again, Lala being back again. I completely forgot who that guy was. And Jefferson, that's going to be the big storyline this season, is just Jefferson learning to become Black Lightning again and realizing that Freeman needs him as Black Lightning. They need that hero. And I'll be interested to see where this goes again, especially with his rivalry with Tobias Whale. Like, is Tobias Whale actually going to end up dead by the end of the season? I mean, I hope not, because he's a great character. But then again, if the show's over, I mean, it's not like we're going to see him again. So, I don't know. I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm really excited for this. Of course, I'll be doing weekly episode reviews and breakdowns just like this for every single episode, so definitely stay tuned for that. Also, my Batwoman ones as well, starting up again next week when the new episode premieres, and Superman and Lois when that comes out, all that good stuff. But for now, guys, let me know down in the comments below, what did you think about this Season 4 premiere of Black Lightning? So, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on everything that goes on in the Marvel life. DC life. Oopsie.